All right, let's call the City of Marine City Commission meeting to order, regular meeting Thursday, October 19th, 2017, 7 p.m. Let's start with a prayer from Reverend Glad, please.
Just take a moment and center ourselves for a moment of prayer. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service and remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders your people need, and help us to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter where they are on life's journey, with the reverence your creation desires. And finally, God, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident of your goodness and love. May it be so. Amen.
Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vandebosch.
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Here.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Buckley. Here. Commissioner Simpson and Commissioner Turner are absent this evening. And City Manager Love here.
Can I get a motion to excuse Commissioner Turner and Commissioner Simpson?
I move that we excuse Commissioner Simpson and Commissioner Turner. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Communications. I need a motion to receive and file the 2016 Stormwater Permit Program Annual Update.
I would like to make a motion to accept and file the communications.
Support.
We had someone from the county here.
Good evening. I'm Sherry Faust. I am with St. Clair County Health Department in Port Huron, and I am here in conjunction with that stormwater memo that you have as part of your packet. Elizabeth McDonald invited me to be here this evening, and I'm happy to be here because the Health Department has partnered with Marine City for over a decade now on your stormwater permit activities that you're required to do with the DEQ. And Marine City and the Health Department, along with 18 other agencies in St. Clair County, 12 municipalities, and 6 school districts, are required to follow certain water quality laws under your stormwater permit. And so these 18 agencies, which are led by myself at the Health Department, formed the Northeastern Watershed Management Group, and we meet 6 times a year to collaborate on how we can meet the requirements of the stormwater permit in a cost-effective way, share resources, share ideas, and get the work done. So I'm just happy to be here to introduce myself to you and let you know that the Health Department is here to be a resource for you, to help you interpret those policies or regulations related to water quality for your community. I work very closely with Mr. Mike Ittrich, and Marine City does a very good job of staying in compliance and going above and beyond and getting things done. So it's a pleasure to work with Marine City. And so we address non-point source pollution problems that affect the health of the St. Clair River and the Bell River. Something else. So why this work is important is that being part of this watershed group and being part of the stormwater permit helps projects get funded. So when you want to do restoration work or habitat work or improvement work along the Bell River or the St. Clair River, being part of this collaboration makes it, helps projects get funded better and quicker and easier. And so you are part of this regulation, whether you want to be or not. It's a law by the DEQ. We have to do it. All 18 agencies in the county have to do it because of your stormwater system and the water and pollution that gets discharged to the St. Clair River and Bell River. One thing that Marine City did, and I just wanted to point this out very quickly too, is part of understanding stormwater pollution prevention is finding out the opinions of the public and what they perceive to be problems or issues. So we developed this simple survey, and I believe it went out maybe in the water bills recently. I think Elizabeth led that up. We got 208 surveys back, which is a pretty good response rate. And we didn't get that back from any other community. So Marine City is the only one where we had 208 people participate in that. And the two things that really stood out when we asked people what was the most important component for them for healthy, clean water, and it was fish and wildlife habitat. And that's above kayaking, and that was above hiking, and that was above boating. People were concerned about fish and wildlife habitat. And that's from 208 residents here in the city. And when they were asked what is a problem in their community, above soil erosion or bacteria or trash or litter, again, the number one problem that they think is a problem here is things affecting fish and wildlife habitat, things harming local fish and wildlife. So people were very concerned about fish and wildlife, and that's really good information to get from a survey like this. And the stormwater permit does address the fact that runoff and stormwater runoff are the greatest threat to water quality today, so we asked people about that. But it's common that most people, including here, feel like factories and industrial discharges are still the number one threat to water quality. And when we asked, do you know where your stormwater goes? Do you know where the rainwater goes here in Marine City? Majority of people said they do not know, and do not know that they live in a watershed. So that just helps us understand where people are at and how we can better educate them, and that's part of what the health department does with Marine City and addressing those issues and perceptions. So I thank you for having me here, and if you ever need any sort of assistance or have questions or problems, or you have concerns about pollution or illicit discharges, you can always contact the health department. We're here anytime to help you work through that, or Elizabeth or Mike know how to get a hold of me also. Are there any questions?
Do you have anything on like a county page for you for any of this information?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, our website is sccwater.org, and that memo is on there. And then I believe the city's website is linked to that website, so people can get the information that way. All right, thank you.
Got a motion support on the floor to receive and file. Any other questions or concerns on it? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Public comment. Residents are welcome to address the city commission. Please state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Okay. Moving on. I need approval of the agenda, but I would like to see if we can have an option to amend the agenda and add a vote on the chairs, so we can make a decision and order these chairs.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda by adding, you want it under new business?
Sure.
D, chair purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Support.
Any other questions on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I need approval for the minutes for the City Commission regular meeting October 5th, 2017.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the October 5th meeting.
Support.
Any corrections, deletions, or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to the consent agenda, I'm going to need a motion to approve the departmental activity reports, the Marine City Area Fire Authority run reports, the Zoning Board of Appeals minutes, September 6th, the Planning Commission meeting, September 11th.
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
Okay. Made a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Support.
Motion support. Do we have any corrections or deletions on that? Or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yep.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Leftley,
Yes.
Mayor Dinnenbaum.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we're going to move to unfinished business, the winter parking ordinance.
Right. As you may recall from the last meeting, we were talking about the ordinances that Wade Trim's been working on for us for the winter parking permits. Obviously, we've kind of passed the opportunity to be able to get something done before the permit cycle for this year. Attached to the memo are several ordinances that pertain to both the winter residential parking and also kind of residential parking. We spoke a little bit about this also at the last meeting, that I felt it was beneficial to be able to provide draft copies of the ordinances to the public so that we can solicit some feedback from them, so that we can get better direction how to move forward with the ordinances. One of the ordinance sections is part of the zoning ordinance, which is required to go to Planning Commission for review. So at this time, what I'm looking for is a motion to send that ordinance to Planning Commission and put out notice to the public that we have these ordinances that will be available on our website for review and feedback and comment from anyone until it comes back to City Commission for future review.
I move what she said.
The motion's right here on the memo.
Support. Any other questions or concerns on this, sending it to Planning Commission? No? Great idea. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Sending that to planning. All right. Next, we've got the sidewalk bids. Oh,
Yeah.
you got that one?
So we had a proposal meeting that was mandatory. We only had one person show up. We got the bids in, we only got one bid. We don't feel that we really have an opportunity to know if that's a fair price or not. At this point in time, we would ask that you reject the bids, and we will, in essence, reformulate the bid document. One of the things that I'm recommending for reformulating the bid document is that we make this a 4-year cycle program. So in essence, what we can do is bid this project out for priority bidder for the 4 years. So the first year, whatever the bid is, that price, we go with that. That person that we select for each of the 3 consecutive years as we go through the quadrants, we get their pricing from them. We can either accept that pricing or bid the project back out. So whomever we select from the bid process would have a priority with the bid for each quadrant.
Makes it more enticing, more attractive.
Yeah, we did call some of the other people that had picked up the bid packages to find out why they didn't bid. Part of the issues were the insurance requirements. We're also going to change those. Also, timing, with this kind of being the end of the season, there wasn't really an opportunity to be able to fit in this project. So we think that redoing this prior to spring so that we'll be ready to have this job done in spring makes a little bit more sense, and we should get better pricing and competitive bids.
Okay. Motion to reject the bids?
I'll make a motion to reject the bid for the sidewalk program and put it out for rebidding.
Motion support. Any questions or concerns on rejecting the bid? Yes, Mr. Avery?
Not on rejecting it, but on putting it out for rebid. I didn't understand if we're going to do this now or next spring.
We'll do it prior to spring. So I'm working with the attorney, and
Okay,
we'll
so-
develop some language that hopefully will be a little more palpable.
She'll have
Okay.
to bring a new thing back to us to approve for the
Right.
bidding.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And there is a concrete shortage right now, and it's getting harder and harder to order it. So trying to
Well-
finish this year would be,
And a lot of the guys already had, they were booked up too.
any other questions or concerns on rejecting the bid? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we're moving on to the parking study. Yeah, parking study. Motion to receive and file.
I did not get any feedback from anyone of any corrections that were necessary. Wade Trim thus just changed the date really on the cover page for when they changed it from a draft to a final copy. So just looking for receipt and file for the study.
I'll move to receive and file the study.
Second that motion.
Any questions or concerns on the parking study? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. New business. It's a SAW grant report. I need a motion to receive and file. Yes, sir.
I still had a question on the parking study. We received it, we looked at it, and we filed it. What are we going to do with it? Well, first, we paid for it, and second, there's good information in there. So now what do we do with it?
In my manager's report, I kind of detailed that, is that that'll be the next step, is to consider those recommendations. So we'll have that on future agendas.
Thank you.
Yep. For the SAW grant, you have been provided a copy of the executive summary for the draft asset management report. This is something that Tetra Tech has done for us through a grant process. It, in essence, goes through and reviews the status of our sewer infrastructure. I do have the complete report. It will be available in the office. There's lots of maps and spreadsheets, data, information in there if anybody wants to take a look at that. The draft copy, we did meet with him. There really isn't any changes. They're just going to take a look and see if there were any mathematical errors or spelling corrections, anything that needed to be made. Otherwise, it would be a final report. So at this point, just looking for receipt and file.
Make a motion to receive and file the SAW grant.
I support that motion.
Any more questions on it? Lisa?
Not necessarily a question, but one thing I'd have people look in here, because I know everybody gripes about the streets in this town, and we keep trying to tell everybody we can't do the streets until we fix the infrastructure. But there is a real nice little list in here of a lot of the projects and the cost of what this is going to cost us, and some of the different things in here. And it's got a pretty hefty total price of $4.5 million. So if you want to know kind of what stuff that we're going to look at first, I mean, that'll be up in the air first, it's going to be most of these projects. So, and can you make, like, this portion, I know it's in this packet, but can you make this portion available
Executive
somewhere?
summary, sure.
Yep. So that people can take a look at the plan in there.
See how many there actually are that needs to, improvements
Yeah.
we need to make.
It's eye-opening for costs, so.
Anyone else have any comments on the SAW grant? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to the master plan.
The planning commission has been working on the master plan starting, I think it was about May 2016. We worked with the St. Clair County Planning Department on updating the existing plan that we had from 5 years ago. And one thing that we were working on doing was incorporating the Parks and Recreation plan as a component of the master plan. They do have a lot of the same information, so it made sense to incorporate it. And that way, it's something that we will be updating everything at the same time. One of the reasons that we need to do this is because statutorily, we have to have an updated master plan, or at least review and reapprove it or reaffirm it every 5 years. Our Parks and Recreation master plan was actually pretty poorly outdated. I think the last date that it was effective was 2015, I believe. And that's something that we need to have current so that we would be eligible for any type of grant funding through the DNR. So we've rolled it all together into one packet, and Planning Commission has taken quite a bit of time, gone through chapter by chapter. We've had some visioning sessions and other means of public feedback from stakeholders. And we are now looking to have the City Commission authorize the distribution of this draft to the neighboring communities and the county.
I would move that we approve the distribution of the draft to the neighboring county and municipalities.
Support that motion. It's a lot of good reading for somebody.
It is, it's a great job.
Lisa.
Can you explain the timing? How long people have to go through this if they wanna, if they're interested to read all this?
Yep, so the public comment period is 63 days. So we will have this posted on the website. And as I said, the letters will go to the neighboring communities to inform them that we have the draft available. Obviously, the county knows because they've been involved in working on this with us as well. So we would be looking for any comments and feedback from that that would come to City Commission. You'd have an opportunity to take a look at that feedback, and if you felt that it was something that needed to be changed, you would send the master plan back to the Planning Commission. If there were any substantial changes, recommendation would be to have a meeting with the City Commission and Planning Commission together to work out those details so that you can get it done as quickly as possible and move forward. One of the things that we have been working on trying to get this done is so that we can get ahead of the grant cycle for DNR, which is, I believe, April 1st. We're getting pretty close to the deadline here with the 63-day period, so I just want you to be aware of that.
Okay, and when you say 63 days, that's 60 from today,
Correct.
and any changes or modifications, and that goes back to planning. Does that all,
If you-
then planning would then get back to us?
Correct.
But does that need to be done within the 63 days, or that they come
No.
back to us after the 63?
It would be after the 63 days.
Okay.
So there's a lot of material here for everybody.
Mhm.
And everybody has their 2 cents about the parks and what they'd like to see. There's a lot of information in here, so I encourage everybody in the next 63 days to try to review this online if they can.
Mhm.
And comments can be forwarded to our office.
Mr. Avery?
I hesitate to even mention this because it's going to contain the computer word. When it is online, will the graphs and stuff come up with the color? Because it's
Yes.
difficult to follow some of this through.
Yes,
So
Each
that will-
chapter is a separate PDF.
Yeah.
So that makes it so that it's a little easier for someone to be able to download and view. We'll also have copies available in our office for people that maybe don't have a computer or want to take a look at paper version of it.
Yeah, I'm not complaining that we got black and white copies because that's fine to cut costs, but that will certainly help in trying to look through this.
Any other questions or concerns on the master plan? All in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to fee schedule amendment for winter parking permits.
Based on feedback that we got last year from some people regarding the permits and really taking a look at our costs in office, the The fee schedule currently has an application fee of $10 per car per permit. I'm proposing a change of a $10 application fee per address, and it would be $1.25 per fee sticker. And that would be even a replacement cost. So say if in the middle of winter you wind up trading or selling your car, or getting a new car, you can come in and just get that $1.25 replacement sticker and not have to pay the $10 fee for each sticker. And that's all I'm looking for tonight, is just an amendment to the fee schedule for the winter parking
And
permits.
this also includes somebody who has 4 cars, they have to pay the $10 and then $1.25 for each additional car instead of $10 per car like we did
Correct.
last year.
Yep, it'd be $10 per address and $1.25 per sticker.
All right, I'll make a motion that we
Amend the fee schedule.
amend the fee schedule for the winter parking permits for $10 for the application fee per resident and $1.25 per each additional sticker
Support.
Per residence, right?
per residence.
Right.
Yes.
Motion support. Any other questions on it? Hearing none, it's a roll. Oops, yeah.
Not on adopting this, that's fine. I have heard from people who are concerned that when somebody is driven off the street because of winter ordinances, and we understand the plowing, that they tend to put cars in places where they shouldn't, like
Front yard.
other people's lots or business lots. These are for places that have a high percentage of rental folks living, so they don't have a lot of skin in the game. So I think we have to be careful monitoring this so we don't disadvantage some, well, some people have been disadvantaged. Their lot is taken over by winter semi-transient people, so I don't know what has to be done, whether, I guess they just call the police and have something towed, maybe, yeah.
And some of the parking lots that we take care of, they're posted, that they're private property, and it's for business only, and others will be towed at their expense, so.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't mine, this is
No, right.
somebody else. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns on the amending the fee schedule? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwig,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes,
Carried.
All right, moving on to new business D, chairs.
Okay.
Well, we've had quite a few chairs that have been brought through the office and tried out, and I've kind of asked for some feedback as to what chair most people like, and most of the feedback I've gotten seems to be the one particular chair that we have there with the plastic. We actually did get 2 quotes for that chair. The pricing that we have that is the best is from Care Albert for $317 per chair. I'm looking to purchase 12 chairs, so total would be $3,804. And at this point, I guess I would be looking for a motion to waive competitive bidding. As I said, we did get a couple of quotes, so that's the lowest one. And then also to purchase 12 chairs.
I'll move that we waive the competitive bidding for the chairs.
Support.
I have a question. In an effort toward diversity, some of us of lesser stature would suggest that maybe 2 chairs be purchased that are a little more befitting, so, well, anyway.
We made an attempt to do that, and the companion chair that was brought to us was virtually nothing like that chair. There really is not a chair that matches it.
Oh, they have to look, okay.
Appearances.
One thing I'd like to point out for everybody on these chairs is these old chairs used to be when we were still having meetings at the Guy Center. And those have been there since, I know I started going to meetings back in 1995, so some of these chairs are from that era. So that's how long we've had them. So I think we've kind of got our money's worth out of them. Since they've traveled from there to here for, 20-some years. So,
I just wanted to say, the old chairs, what are you going to do with them? Can we sell them? Can we?
We have gotten down to only 4 chairs at our
That are
conference
usable.
table in our office, so we're gonna repurpose the parts and pieces that we can piece together functioning chairs from what we have. Beyond that, I can't tell you, because I don't know really how many we're gonna get that are functional. We're in need of probably at least 6 more in the office, and that doesn't include any backup chairs.
The one with the wheel that keeps falling off. I want to be there when you put it in the dumpster.
what about the one with the broken arm, too?
That one don't bother me as bad as that wheel, 'cause I'm gonna fall out of a chair one of these times. Because we do have one that the wheel falls out during meetings.
Yeah, you got that one meeting.
Yeah. Any other comments or concerns on the chairs?
The motion right now is just to
Waive the
waive
bid.
the bidding.
Any other questions or concerns on waiving the bid? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Leftley,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh,
Yes.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the chairs for 12 chairs for a total of $3,804.
Support.
Motion and support. And that was for chair number 1.
Chair with the plastic.
Chair with the class.
We're gonna get the black one.
Okay, black one, I'm good.
I just like to say that this one has the best lumbar support for us
Yes.
old folks.
And Mike looked at that one, and he liked the bottom on that one quite a bit, so looked the most durable, so. All right, we had a motion support, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Leftley,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to financial business, we have disbursements, including payroll, for $134,817.72.
I move the approval of the disbursements in the amount of $134,817.72.
Support that motion.
Questions or concerns on the disbursements?
Oh,
Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mayor Vandembosh.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
no.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Leftley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to preliminary financial statements, I need a motion to receive and file.
Make a motion that we receive and file the preliminary financial statements for September 2017.
Support.
Motion support, any questions or concerns on the financial statements? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to city manager's report.
As you will have probably noticed, I've included my manager's report as a write-up in with the department reports. At this point in time, I'll probably just add whatever I have to amend that report. Our office did receive notice to transfer into the city a liquor license for use at the inn. That obviously will be going through a state review. I attended an educational and business summit up in Marysville this week, kind of regarding the future of employees and staffing and starting really from the school level and what education can do to help ensure that we have a future for all of our positions and jobs in the county. I also attended the Tifa and Fire Authority. At the Fire Authority meeting, they did approve fixing the door over here, so I am very grateful for that, and that's all I have.
Any questions for the city manager?
Now that we're through with the chairs, will we be working on a sound system issue?
We have been working on it, so
That's the
it's in
biggest-
process.
The big issue.
Yeah, we're trying to find something, the system that I'm trying to look for is something where we can have like a Bluetooth type system with a central device that accepts that signal and then has plugs to feed it out to speakers. So I've got some of the girls in the office looking for things online. Not really having a lot of luck finding exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm probably gonna tap into some other resources, probably contact Paul Dingaman, and probably work a little bit with Dave Simpson, have him see if he knows anything that might be better. Because we need something portable and easy to
Yeah.
hook up,
And they can hear.
and something that's not gonna eat a bunch of batteries.
The city manager. I got something for you. I noticed on we've talked about different leases for, there's one maybe coming in for the rest of the old city hall. We need to put something together to start looking into actually doing something permanent for our city hall, for our city offices. And I know we need to start discussing it, and I think that would be something we need to put on the next agenda to actually start getting alternatives of what we can do, what we're gonna do, what we'd like to do.
Maybe a brainstorming session at the next meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of talk about ideas. I know I've heard some things floated around out there since when I first started here. So maybe it is a time to kind of revisit that. I mean, obviously, with leasing out a portion, it kind of closes the door. I know there's a lot of people that want to have the community center be a community center again. So for that to be a community center again, we need a home. So I think we can add that as the next agenda
And we
item
need
for
something
discussion.
that's more ADA compliant and,
Has the room,
mm-hmm,
even for growth,
right.
if that building doesn't.
Yeah, I know meeting here kind of disenfranchises the fire authority quite a bit from doing some things that they want to do since we're in here so often.
Mr. Avery.
I think this would be a good chance to allow the public to come in and have the people line up that think that we should put aside our road situations so we can build a city hall. I'm sure there'll be a lot of support for that.
Maybe. I mean, it's something we should let the community voice their opinions on it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been quite a bit of discussion of, of opening the Guy Center back up for, public use. So I think we should let the community come and voice their opinion.
I think we have a lot of issues to discuss because I know with the Guy Center, we do have a lot of complaints about it being very difficult for ADA access and parking for people to be able to get in there and pay their bills. Obviously, there's a lot of issues going on with 300 Broadway and expenditures there. That's in the past. It's not something that we can change, unfortunately. We need to come up with a plan moving forward. And I think talking about all of these options is probably a good idea, and being able to have that at a public forum so that we can get feedback from the community and kind of gauge our next steps on some of the feedback that we get.
That was my point. We need to make sure that we understand there's a financial choice that has to be made. And certainly if it's voted on, people can do it, and then they can spend the money.
And we don't even have any idea of what it would cost to do, or even look at other different buildings that are available now too, so. Anyone else have any comments for the city manager? Moving on to commissioner privilege. Mr. Avery, why don't you start us out?
Okay, I would like to thank the citizens of Marine City who supported the Pumpkin Palooza. I realize that's not a city function, but it was a very nice thing to do and generated great interest. There was a very favorable article in the Detroit paper on a lot of Marine City. It wasn't strictly directed toward the pumpkin thing. It was very, very good. It was the kind of PR that we'd like, you know, you'd pay for normally. It was very nice.
I don't think, oh, she hit the bell and accidentally.
I can quit.
No,
In
no, you don't
fact-
need to.
In fact, you'd rather, because I'm going to ask, in the monthly report for the building department, I see that there's a license application for an antique store at 102 South Main. If somebody looks that up in Google, you'll get a surprise. I don't think that,
It's North Main, isn't it?
yes.
Yes, it's
Now,
North
I
Main.
bring that up because this could be a typo, it could be anything else, but I have experienced a lot of problems with the dividing line in the city and not caring, because my building falls on that.
Yeah.
And when I asked and suggested this is wrong, it has to be changed, well, no, it's too much work to change it. It was so goofed up that when I bought the building, I couldn't get gas or electric service to the addresses because they didn't have that registered. I had to go out and read meter numbers and say, oh, yeah, okay, we'll turn those on. That happens to be on West Boulevard, but that's the same thing. There's north and south that gets confused. I would just like to make sure that we don't run into more of these problems, because numbers haven't changed in how many years? So if the record's wrong, they should, at least when they're brought up, they should be corrected. Thank you.
I would like to thank everybody here. I spent the day at SEMCOG, which is the Southeastern Michigan Council of Government. They just turned 50 years old, so they're having a big meeting we were over at Cranbrook today. And one of the things when I go to that and I listen to all of these municipalities and counties and all these people, if you've never sat on this side of the table, I don't think you have any idea how complicated and how much work is involved with trying to do a good job up here. And I'd just like to thank everybody that is up here working for our city. The other thing is I learned a lot. I'm going to type up my minutes or my report and give it to Elaine and Elizabeth. And anything you think could go into the newsletter would be fine. But there were a couple of things that I think are really helpful. One of the things was Candace Miller was the main presenter in the afternoon, and she, of course, inherited what she doesn't want ever to hear the word sinkhole. It's the Fraser Interceptor collapse, okay? But what she had done a study on, because she was forced to, and trying to handle that, is that our drainage systems were not designed for what we're putting in them. And what they have come up with is a never flush list, which I will make. I don't want to read it here because some of it is a little bit personal, but they're finding out that this is one of the reasons why we're having collapses and upset. The other thing is, in the economic development studies, economic growth follows the transportation grid. In other words, wherever you have access to transportation, that's where the economic growth goes. But the transportation grid follows the drainage grid. If you have property and it's not properly drained, or you don't have sewers that are up to date and in good condition, then these larger companies don't want anything to do with you. And what happens is, because it's underground and we can't see it, we forget about it and it gets pushed on the back burner. And I know that we have some aging drainage and some aging sewers and so forth in this town. And I just got to say, at this point in time, listen to your DPW. If they've got some pumps that are clogging up, if they've got some stuff that is giving them trouble, that needs to be brought forth front and center. That's really important to economic growth and so forth and so on. And also, the other piece of that is when we're looking at roads and streets, one of the big problems with our storm sewers is we have non-receptive paving runoff. In other words, what they used to pave roads with, and we have a lot of paved surface nowadays, does not receive water. It runs off, and that causes a big problem. And now they have developed paving that receives water, it goes through down into the water table and takes good care of our storm sewers. So it was very interesting, and I'll type that up. Also, for some reason, traffic crashes have gone up 19%. Also, the #1 attraction for communities as listed by people that are looking for some place to live is safe and convenient walk and bike availability. That was their #1 thing. The other thing is we hear a lot of complaints about streets and roads, and if you go to a SEMCOG meeting, you understand very shortly that road funding is not just our problem. It's a huge problem for the entire country. And they have a chart, and I'll try to duplicate it and have it available, that shows how we've been funding our roads, why that no longer works, and some of the options in going forward. But one of the things they said, there has not been in the past cooperation between federal, state, county, and local road. And now they are going to have to work together, plan together, if we're going to have an infrastructure that works. They're very good also on best practices, which I'm very big on. In other words, if we have a problem, let's go find a community where they have fixed that and where something's working. And they do a lot of work with that. The other thing that we're looking, and this is particular in talking to the Planning Commission people, we are falling off a generational cliff. We are going to have something, well over 50% of our population will be 65 and up within a couple years. Within 5 years, it's going to be 85 and up. It's going to be our largest group of people. How do you plan for that? What do we do? What do they need? And there's a whole list of things that they're working on that. But in 2017, the over 65 population in just southeastern Michigan is 1,160,000 people. And that takes a certain amount of planning to see that they get the proper care. And also, if you ask anybody, and I'm over 65, they want to stay in their home. So the big thing now is going to be planning home services. And also, the other thing is when large companies come into an area and they're looking for a place to land, such as Amazon, which is looking at our area, what they look for now is partnering, what they call partnering for prosperity. And what they want is, they don't just want Wayne County, they don't just want Oakland County, they don't just want Macomb County, they want to see that all of these counties are planning and working together. And one of the things that I saw is there was 2 people there from St. Clair County. Hundreds of people there, and I only was aware of 2 people there from St. Clair County. And this is where that partnering is happening. And I invite, the next time they have a meeting, it's amazing. But getting that, at the county level in particular, getting demographics that draw industry, partnering for prosperity, is a big thing. I'm obviously excited about some of the things that I heard there and ways that we can go forward. And again, I'll type that up for you and you can see if any of it's helpful to you. That's it.
I'd also like to thank the Pumpkin Palooza. The kids that they had from the schools were amazing to set it up. They set it up on Friday night, and it took about 2.5 hours. once they got it figured out that they didn't have to carry one pumpkin all the way to the other end and then go back and get another one. So, but it all worked out good and everybody got it. And the other thing is what you hear and what is perceived. They must have said 50 times over the loudspeaker, they told you when you got there, 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth to qualify. And you know how many people that didn't qualify because they did something else?
The Cyclops.
You know, it's like, so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And thanks to the farmer for growing those pumpkins.
Lisa.
All right, I just want to wish everybody a safe and happy Halloween. That's coming up, and please watch out for the kids. Drive slow. The little kids are all out there trying to have fun, and you know, we just don't want any accidents. I also want to remind everybody, if you're still having issues with garbage pickup, please make sure you call the city offices and let them know. I don't know if the one on Elder Street finally got resolved.
Didn't really hear that many complaints at all this week,
Okay.
fortunately.
Yeah, well, it's
So
better,
we're
but
still
we'll see.
monitoring and on top of it.
But if you have any, please turn them in. I also want to thank everybody that came out to the Lions wine tasting the other night. That seemed to be a big success. They drank a lot of wine. Everybody had a good time. And I just want to remind everybody, the old Newsboys are starting up. So it's the old No Child Without a Christmas. If you want to volunteer and you got some extra time, the meetings are Tuesday night here at the Fire Hall. The next one will be October 24th at 7 p.m. There won't be anyone here on Halloween, but if you want to join, it's a good organization. It helps all the local kids so that they have a good Christmas. So that's it.
I'm gonna be short today. It was, it's another, you know, it was amazing how they got, we all worked together, we got all the pumpkins laid out, and it kind of falls together. I don't know how or why it works, but it does. It's just good to be done. A little pressure off me, there's no pressure there. I want to thank Mike. He was extremely helpful again, and I know he spends a lot of his personal time to help us out, and thanks, Mike. Thank you guys. It helps and does severely. And then they were out again the other day on a windstorm. And pump stations didn't fire up the way we hope they will, and we were out on down wires, so I went over and seen him, and he blocked some streets off so we could send firemen back to the station. So thanks again, Mike. Appreciate it. And other than that, I hope everybody has a good Halloween. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.